You. Today, our panel is all about making it in the beauty business, and we have 5 amazing founders here with us today to give us all the tea on how to be successful in beauty. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So I'm gonna let you all introduce yourselves because you will do it better than I ever could. And let's start off with Lauren Ireland. Lauren, tell us about yourself, but also give us like a 1-sentence, one-liner on your brand Summer Fridays.
You got it. My name is Lauren Ireland. I'm the co-founder of Summer Fridays. We launched about 2.5 years ago. We're a clean skincare line, and we are officially launching at REVOLVE next week, which we are very, very excited about.
Awesome. That's a tip. That's a news. I like that.
That is, yes, next week.
Anastasia Soare, next.
Well, Anastasia Soare, the founder of Anastasia Beverly Hills. I guess just a liner. I kind of reinvent eyebrows, I guess, and so much more. Full makeup line.
You do. I mean, your brow products. That dip brow was like, it's my jam. It's my number one. Dr. Barbara Sturm.
Hi, I'm Dr. Barbara Sturm, and my skincare line is Dr. Barbara Sturm Molecular Cosmetics. And I think anti-aging is so much better in doing something valuable for your skin barrier function and keeping your skin hydrated and keeping your inflammation out of skin and doing telomerase activation instead of bringing aggressive ingredients to your skin to destroy your skin barrier. So this whole approach is anti-inflammatory and really good for your cells and your skin and your health.
Awesome. Amazing. Nancy Twine from Briogeo.
Hey everyone, I'm Nancy Twine, the founder and CEO of Briogeo Hair Care. And about 7 years ago, I took a leap of faith and I left my career on Wall Street to launch Briogeo, which is a clean, natural, effective hair care product line for all hair textures and types. So we celebrate diversity and we create custom hair solutions based on your unique needs.
Awesome. And Trinity Mouzon Wofford.
Hi, everyone. My name is Trinity Mouzon Wofford, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Golde. And we are a Brooklyn-born health and beauty brand powered by superfoods. So we make everything from powders to add to your morning smoothie or latte to face masks made with real ingredients like mango and papaya.
Amazing. Thank you all for being here once again. And I'm so excited about the knowledge that you all are going to share with us today, because you all are CEOs and founders, but you all have different areas of expertise that I think you're going to be able to give us some tips that are going to be great for those people who are looking to learn more about the industry, but also maybe looking to start their own brands. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of that, I kind of want to go way back and let's talk about what drew you to beauty. What was that thing, maybe an early memory that really made you love the beauty industry? Anyone can answer.
Well, I will take that question. So in early 90s, I needed a job and I didn't speak the language. The only job that I could get was as an esthetician, and doing facial and body waxing. I realized that nobody paid attention to eyebrows. And in my art class, I remember my teacher always saying, if you want to draw a portrait and you want to change an emotion on a face, change eyebrows. So I start going to the library and diving deep in how to find the perfect shape for my eyebrows, because my esthetician in Romania used to pencil them, tweeze them very thin and round. That was the fashion at that time. And I looked surprised. So I kind of found a formula and I wanted to share with everyone. I opened a salon in Beverly Hills, and I start really understanding so much how to fix my eyebrows. And I wanted to share that with every single client that I had. And remember that in 2000, I remember I used to go to Neiman Marcus and everybody was saying, oh, only 4 colors you could sell, that don't do more. Like, no, I have to have a color of my pencil for every single client. And so we did inclusivity in 1999 when nobody was talking about inclusivity. I'm very proud of that. But this is how I got in beauty industry.
Oh, cool.
I'd love to share my story because I fell in love with beauty as a kid. And I fell in love with not just beauty, but clean beauty. My mom was a chemist, and because of that, she had a lot of education on how to mix up ingredients. And I grew up and I still have naturally very curly hair. But when I was younger, none of the products that were being sold on the market really addressed my specific concerns and what I needed. So me and my mom found ourselves either going to the health food store and buying our own oils, extracts, butters, waxes, and making our own products from scratch, or taking the products that we had and blending them with other ingredients to make them work better. And ultimately, that's what led me to create Briogeo. But it was a truly memorable experience for me because at such a young age, I realized that you could take single ingredients from nature, combine them, and transform them into something that was truly effective.
I love that story particularly because I feel like so many amazing hair care brands have started from the kitchen. You know, you hear so much about, especially I think for women of color and Black women, we love to stir something up in the kitchen for our hair. And so what I call the kitchen beauticians that I grew up with myself. And I love that your story is rooted in that. And to this day, I still will take an avocado and some mayonnaise and like make a mask for my hair. DIY is all the rave now that we're at home.
That's right.
So there are so many products on the market. I mean, as a beauty editor, I get overwhelmed and it's my job to test a lot of products. So I imagine for consumers going in, they also get sometimes overwhelmed. And I wanted to kind of find out how you all decided where to start. You know, there are so many beauty lines out there, but how did you all determine, okay, I want to do this product? And I think Lauren, for example, Summer Friday started out with just the mask. It was one mask and I use it before my makeup. That's my favorite way to use it. I kind of keep it on. I never rinse it off because why would I waste all that goodness down the drain? I'm interested to hear a little bit about how did you decide to start with that one product? And also you kind of are adding SKUs very slowly, taking your time. What was the logic behind that?
Yeah, we've always taken that approach. We did launch with just our jet lag mask. And I remember when we made the decision to do that, a lot of people who had been in the industry for a long time said it was a significant risk to take because it's big risk, big reward. But if it doesn't go the way that you hope, it doesn't, you know, your brand may not have the longevity you want it to have. But both Marianne and I felt really confident with the jet lag mask specifically. It was really born out of both of our lifestyles. We both worked in the influencer space. Prior to launching, Mariana was constantly traveling and quite literally jet lagged. I was early pregnant when we started formulating, early pregnant with my now son who's 3. And I was cleaning out all of my beauty drawers and switching to clean ingredients. And I looked exhausted all the time and needed something that made me look more hydrated. And so we felt really confident that this one product would really be able to be easily added into your routine. And that was also another thing. I mean, we're both product junkies. We love product and we try all kinds of different products and it can be overwhelming. And so we really wanted to make it easy for our community to add Summer Fridays into their routine without feeling like they had to overhaul everything that they were using. And so people could really continue using all of their favorite products, easily add in our jet lag mask. And that was our only product for several months, actually. And I think it really allowed us to build trust with our community. And I think the blue tube, not a lot of people were doing, I call it Summer Fridays blue, but that was a color that was not seen very often at that point in time. And I think that really helped with even it being Instagrammable and people photographing it. And it became and still is really at the core of our brand, really synonymous with Summer Fridays. So that was really the strategy there to not overwhelm our community.
Now, Dr. Sturm, you are a professional. So I'm sure you were getting a lot of products to sample and use on your clients before you started your own brand. But what made you want to, add something else? What did you feel was missing, and why did you create your own line?
Actually, exactly the opposite. And I was a total tomboy. I was not into beauty. I was a scientist, and I studied medicine and sports, and I created something called vampire facial quite early. So I came into the aesthetic space quite early, and my patients were asking for a good formula as a face cream, and I was trying to find something really amazing on the market at the time, which could hydrate my skin, and there was nothing available. I really tried everything. I had always dehydrated skin and blackheads, and I couldn't find anything which could help. So I created a cream together with my pharmacist, and my grandmother was a pharmacist, and I asked her for all her wisdom, and I grew up in the nature and knew everything about herbs and plants, and I went on the search for the best ingredients. And when I started my cream with the pharmacist, I also added the blood from my proteins, and it's healed my skin, literally healed my skin. And my patients who also got hooked on the blood cream then said, okay, Dr. Sturm, which cleanser should I use, which serum, which exfoliator? And I thought, okay, I cannot recommend anything on the market. I just have to do it for my patients. And I literally only did the products for my patients. It was not the plan that I go in the beauty industry. That all fell into place by chance because, I got addicted to my products. My patients fell in love. And then, at one point, I just wanted to be, I wanted to be available to everyone in the world to just get to the products, and I couldn't take care of distribution and ship. It's way longer ago, it's like other times. Right now, everything is way easier to build. At the time, and I didn't have money or whatever, so I had to just come up with something, and slowly the retailers discovered my products, and so I got into the market and people fell in love with the product. So it's like a very strange way of creating this brand. But then here I am, I'm Willy Wonka now, creating many products for every skin type, for every skin color. I just love the science around it. And yeah.
Trinity, I wanted to ask, you were in the wellness space as well, and product development is tough, right? In beauty, it's tough to create products to just go on your skin, but you take it to a whole nother level because you're creating things that people drink. And, I think there's a whole nother level of, expertise and, credit that requires, science and things like that is a whole nother element when we're talking about ingestibles. So for you, what were some of the early wins, but also some of the early challenges of creating this product, especially at a time when wellness is like hot? Everyone was trying to get into wellness and is still trying to get into wellness.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think that what ultimately drew me to launch the brand was my experience as a consumer in the wellness space. And at the time, I was feeling very much caught between this like crunchy granola stuff that I had grown up with in upstate New York, and then this sort of next wave of offerings that tended to lean a little bit more prestige. And sort of, their offerings and the way they were talking about wellness didn't always resonate with me. And frankly, I certainly couldn't afford it. So I was really centered on this idea of like, how do we take wellness and make it more easy and approachable and fun for this next generation of consumer who's really excited about self-care, but doesn't necessarily see herself represented in, the offerings today. And I think so much of that has really driven our, product ethos as well, as far as figuring out like, what are the products that we can create that are like relatively affordable for someone to purchase, really easy for them to use, actually tasty, of course, natural, and then actually effective. So I think like leading through that piece of like, how do we make this easy and fun and accessible has really been the core of everything that we do. And it definitely comes into product as well.
I love that every single founder in this panel is very organic. They started their brand very organic. Like you started because you wanted something for yourself, and every single one, the hair, the skin. I started eyebrows. I think, in my opinion, if I have to give somebody an answer of how to start your or brand, is just you need to really believe, to start to love it, and it is going to grow. If you plan to, oh, I'm going to make a product line and I want to have it successful and I want to make millions and millions, it's not going to work. I think you have to start to believe in it and grow it, and then everybody else will believe and will get what you made. Congratulations for your, I'm going to go and buy it or order.
Anastasia, I'm literally wearing your clear brow gel right now. I'm like such a fan.
All of you. It's like, it's so funny to me because when I saw the lineup of the panel, I was like, oh, I use every last one of these brands on myself on a regular basis. So heck yeah, I want to moderate that panel. I think you're so right, Anastasia, about having a passion being step one. But we also know that there are a lot of roadblocks between having that passion and actually getting the product out there. And I think one thing that I'm particularly interested in is the money. Okay. So like, what were some of the, challenges with raising capital? I mean, especially you hear a lot of stories about female founders struggling to self-fund or get investors or things like that. What are some tips that you can give, or what are some stories that you have that you think people could learn from?
Oh my God, we need hours and hours if I need to.
Yeah. We only have 5 minutes, but
but I will make it short. So I opened the salon and I started doing eyebrows. I developed the technique on how to shape eyebrow according everybody's bone structure and natural eyebrow shape using the golden ratio. So I combined science with beauty. Everything was great, but there were no products for eyebrows. So I was mixing Vaseline with aloe vera and some eyeshadow, and the client will look amazing after she left the salon, but after she will take a shower, her eyebrow will have gaps. So I started developing the products. Well, I didn't have the money. I was having a part-time job. I was flipping houses, buying houses, remodeling and selling them, and doing eyebrows nonstop. I think I worked 7 days a week nonstop to fund my line. I got a small SBA loan from Wells Fargo, and that helped me to kind of move, but it was very small. But and believe it or not, I never took other loan. I was able to watch my cash and do the line. It wasn't easy, and I have news for everyone. It doesn't matter at the beginning, in the middle, or how successful your brand is. It's constantly, you have challenges. It's never stop. If you think like, oh my God, I'm going to be Barbara Sturm and everybody loves, every celebrity uses my cream, or every celebrity or every person uses my pencils or my palettes, it's a challenge every single day. This is how I describe business. But that's why it's important to love what you do, because you don't care. You feel like you don't work. If you don't love what you do, don't do it. But if you love, you feel like you don't work.
Anastasia said it perfectly. Like, passion will help you to defy all odds. Because I always have believed anything is possible. There have been too many stories from the beginning of time in which people have overcome crazy, crazy odds. But you do have to hustle and you have to stay positive. And when you face those challenges, you always have to remember that the challenges don't mean that it's not working. It just means that you have to get creative. And similarly, I had to hustle. I kept my day job, which was a very intense day job. I was working as a vice president at Goldman Sachs, working crazy hours. And I knew that I couldn't leave there until I got my brand to a certain point in which I could fund it. So I was literally working 2 jobs, a very full-time job while getting Briogeo off the ground. And once I got to the point at which I had my first major retailer, I left my full-time job, but it was tough. I was transferring money from my personal account to the bank account, hoping that retailers would pay me so that I could pay myself back. And that went on for years. I eventually became profitable to get a bank loan, but there were just so many challenges and things that I think would naturally stop a lot of people if they didn't have that resiliency and that hustle and that drive to overcome. So I completely agree.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah, I
easy
think-
to start a brand and it's so hard to maintain the brand.
Right. Lauren, you wanted to.
Yeah, actually, that's it. It was kind of to that exact point that I think oftentimes we are working, we're working while we're dreaming. So a lot of times we are working in that other job while we're sort of dreaming of this next big thing. But also I think everyone's journey is so different depending on your timing and when you're starting and your personal story and all of that. For us and for Summer Fridays, I know we talked a lot about, we started with one product, which we had many reasons for that, but also from a cost perspective, this was also really significant because we were producing one product versus having to finance a number of products in a range and launch with that. And so that was one significant part. And then we did, I think what helped is that because we came from the influencer space in the beginning at launch, we were able to utilize, a lot of relationships and friendships and partnerships that we had from the last several years. And people really came out and shared and supported before we had an influencer budget to actually pay people to help share that. So I think what's kind of incredible about now, while it's very saturated and there's a lot of us obviously online, it also is, I think, a bit easier to share your product in creative ways, even when you're really new. And then in terms of raising, we did decide to raise capital about 1.5 years in, because after so long, you can only, the connections and the friendships can only kind of grow you to a certain extent. So we did decide to raise money about 1.5 years into starting.
I think that's a good tip as well. I think a lot of people try to raise money before they even have their first SKU made or, have even gone before they go into the labs and it's just a concept. But I love that fact that you all had the product, had the concept, sold it already. And we're like, here's proof that people are really interested in this. I'm sure that maybe helped you have a proof case, right? When you went.
Yeah. I mean, that significantly helped. Obviously, trying to pitch something that is working is much easier than necessarily before I also think, again, so much of this comes down to timing. This was, not that long ago that we raised. I think it's an incredible time for women, what a phenomenal time to be a female founder. And so I actually felt very welcomed. I felt like, people were very enthusiastic. They were excited. We could easily explain our brand, what we stood for, a lot of our values. And I feel very fortunate that I know that has not always been the case. And I felt very fortunate in terms of just timing that it's a time for female founders. And I actually really, really felt that.
One thing that you said, I would kind of like to riff off of, you said you were able to explain your brand values. For this group here, how important do you think it is, especially now when stores are kind of still closed and social media is really the front door for a lot of beauty businesses? How important do you think it is that a brand has like values outside of, we want to give you, great brow, like we want to give you foundation to cover your spots. Like how important is kind of a brand mission and brand values?
I think for me personally, for our brand, it was very interesting to see this whole turnaround with COVID and the lockdown, because something I always wanted to do is education. And, by heart, I'm a doctor. I'm not a businesswoman, and I like to, address like problems, or people can come to me with questions and I want to fix their skin and their problems and give advice. And we started something right away when the lockdown started with offering master classes in Skin School. Skin School was a program to bring to teenagers who are at home, who can't go to school, but I wanted to bring education, how they can treat their skin when they're young, they're overwhelmed with the market, they don't know what to do. And there's so much confusion out there. So we started skin school and master classes. And this is really a value very close to my heart and to our brand, that we really educate about skin and the physiology of the skin and what is really good for your skin and how to treat your skin in the most effective, most simple way, in a way as well. Don't overpower your skin, especially when you're young. Don't use anti-aging products when you're young, because you're messing up your skin early on. So teaching about ingredients, what to look out for in skincare products. And I started this not to push my products. It's more about bringing this education and the knowledge to the audience, because they're all hungry for knowledge in these days.
We did exactly the same. A week after the lockdown, we started IG Live tutorial, because everybody was home. And as you all know, eyebrows are a little challenging. And I thought that was the perfect timing to not only show our products, but show the technique, how to apply it. Take your time. You have plenty of time right now. We'll show you video. We'll teach you how to do it. And show you some different techniques, because there are so many ways of using our products. Because this is how we started. When I started making products, I wanted to solve a problem. Like, you over tweeze your eyebrow, I will create a product. You have gaps or you have a scar in your eyebrows, I will create a product. So all the products that I created over the times will address a problem. And it was very important how to teach or to show the client how to use it. So for us was amazing, the IG Live and all the master classes. And we start doing one-on-one, my team, my field team that couldn't go in the stores, they start doing one-on-one consulting over the phone or over the Zoom. It was very good.
Yeah, this whole situation has had to make founders be resourceful. I mean, it's completely changed the way that beauty works. And I think it's made social media, if it could have been, it's made social media even more important than it was 6 months ago. And in that same vein, I'd love to hear a little bit about, how you all, relate with social media, but also influencers. How has that, influenced your brands and how your brands have thrived and that sort of thing? I think social media is such an important tool, and influencer marketing and things like that is such an important resource. So any tips you can give about working with that element of marketing?
Yeah, I can jump in on this. Social has been a huge part of Golde's marketing strategy. And I think a big piece of that was, like so many of the other founders here, we have been self-funded for our first couple of years. So we didn't have the opportunity to say, okay, we're going to stick, $100,000 into this paid spend opportunity or whatever. We were kind of trying to figure out how we could get the word out on a budget. And so we started targeting, I guess what you would call nano influencers, right? Basically real girls on Instagram, not really these traditional influencers. And we found that we were able to build these incredibly tight-knit communities of young women who were looking to build out their self-care routines and wanted a community to be able to engage and talk about what was working for them, what recipes they liked, how they were feeling on any given day. And so we started just with organic gifting, which was really great for our product because our products are powders. So they're shelf stable, they're really easy to ship. So it wasn't super costly on our end. And we didn't really ask for much, and we still don't really ask for much in return. It's more just kind of hey, want to share this with you. If you love it, talk about it. If not, no worries. And we found that really just prompted this very organic type of sharing where girls are really sharing how the product fit into their routine and why they loved it so much. And this ended up evolving as, we started with kind of a very tight knit circle of girls and kind of expanded. And it's now evolved into our ambassador program, which has around 100 members, but the wait list is over 1,000 of like folks who are like looking to join in and be able to share about our brand. So it's been really cool to see how, you know, just starting off by having like as close to as possible of these like very organic conversations with like real girls has really helped to grow our visibility with like an incredible budget.
I can speak a bit to it as well, because our Summer Fridays was really born out of the influencer space, because Marianne and I were both working in that space prior to launching. And I think something that's still so significant is that sense of conversation and community. So of course we do work with all kinds of influencers, but really before even that step is just sort of that interaction that we get to have with our community, both on our personal channels and then also within Summer Fridays. And everything that we do is a direct, it directly goes back to those conversations. So we're constantly asking our community what they want next, what product do they want next, what ingredients do they like, what do they not like. And that was always the case even before we launched our first product. A lot of the decisions we made were really rooted in what our community was already asking us for. So we were constantly getting questions that were related to, what the ingredient list was, what they were really looking for, what does it target. And so we kind of used all of that. We always say our community was sort of our focus group before they knew it. And we really used a lot of that information to then create jet lag mask. And then we now always formulate based on all of that information that we're getting. So I think, of course, there's a lot of talk around working, and we do work with influencers, but I also think you get so much from the community, from the people who are not necessarily influencers, but really the people who are out purchasing your product and using it over and over again, and what's missing from their routine. And there's so much information that you can gather through conversations that you're having day to day, and there's so much power in that.
Kind of in that same vein, Dr. Sturm, you have your darker skin tones line, which personal favorite, love. I have like the travel size. I take it with me everywhere. It's been stolen a couple times and I've had to hunt it down from my friends. For you, when did you decide to do that line? Was it kind of a similar situation to Lauren? Was it people were asking for that, or was it you noticing a hole in the market? How do you decide what to launch next,
So I always see, and when I come from the background of inflammation, and I'm looking for things which help with inflammation. For example, a good example are the anti-pollution drops. So we're looking what is doing inflammation. It's coming from our phone lights. The AGV light is causing inflammation. The pollution outside causing inflammation, breakouts, acne. So I wanted to create a product which actually creates a shield on your skin, which can block out the pollutants and the phone light from the phones. So that was one product which got decided like this. Or the sleep food, for example. A lot of people have problems sleeping, and it's a supplement. And if you don't get enough sleep, you have problems with your immune system, with your memory, with your overall health. So enough sleep is really mandatory, and lots of people have insomnia and sleep problems. And I wanted to create something which would help that. So everything around anti-inflammatory lifestyle. And then I was with the darker skin tone, for example, I was talking to Angela Bassett, who fell in love with my my line, and she said, oh my God, this made such a difference in my skin. And I was like, oh, you already have great skin. And she was complaining about that there wasn't really something designed to the darker skin tone community, and that the skin is different. So I went and studied melanin-rich skin, and I found out that especially melanin-rich skin has a high amount of inflammation in their skin. So inflammation, and what created this inflammation was post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So melanin-rich skin has to deal a lot with breakouts and hyperpigmentation. So I created this line designed around these, problems. Like, it's extra antibacterial, and it helps with the Propionibacterium acnes, which causes breakouts and acne. It's extra anti-inflammatory, and it evens out skin tone. And that was something which was needed in the market, especially in the luxury market. it's like I launched it like 5 or 6 years ago, and I had a hard time. I thought it would go crazy. People would go crazy for it because there's nothing there. And I had problems really getting it into retailers. Retailers wouldn't take it. Shen Beauty took it. Jessica was like, okay, of course I take it, you know. But lots of big retailers would not take it. So I had to force them. I would say to retailers, you know, if you don't take my darker skin tone, I will pull all my other products from you. Because the first batch, really, I had to, because I produced so much, because I thought there's like such a big space in the market, I threw away half a million euros worth of products, and I didn't give up. And I have to say, I'm so glad I didn't give up. Tomorrow we have a masterclass roundtable for the darker skin tone line. It's just such a good product, and you know, I'm glad I did it. So I make products for everyone, young, old, everyone with a skin problem. I want to present a solution. I think that's my doctor background. I don't want to have to recommend any other, but what I created myself for everybody.
Nancy, I would love to hear you speak to, because you launch a new product almost like every year. You got something new coming out, something amazing coming out to add to your line. How do you decide what comes next? You know, I know you have your scalp line, you have your Don't Despair line. Do you ever get exhausted? Do you ever say, I don't know what we should do next? Or do you have plans years in advance?
Yeah, I mean, we do. We have plans years in advance, and, you know, things will change between now and then. But, you know, when I think about innovation, so much of it comes from me as a consumer of this category. And most recently, we launched a fragrance-free collection called the Be Gentle, Be Kind Aloe and Oat Milk collection, completely fragrance-free. And part of the inspiration behind that was because since I was a child, I suffered with really, really bad eczema, to the point where my skin would crack, bleed, and scab really, really bad. And in the shower, it wasn't just about me using a fragrance-free body wash to, you know, keep my wounds essentially from becoming irritated, but whatever I was putting on my hair was ultimately getting all over my body in the shower. And at the time, there were very few options for fragrance-free hair care, and the ones that existed at the time, the formulas weren't great. And over the years, we got a large number of inquiries from clients via social, via customer service about their need for fragrance-free products as well. Luckily, a couple of years ago, I found out that my issue with eczema was caused by a dairy allergy. So since then, I've overcome it. But I really used that experience coupled with the feedback that we were getting from our community to create a collection specific to this concern. So, you know, earlier I talked about Briogeo serving the needs of different hair textures and types, but it's really gone beyond that, because at the end of the day, your scalp is an extension of your skin. And so that's the way that we really formulate our products, to not just address hair needs, but also to address skin needs.
Yeah, fragrances don't have anything to do on skin or hair. I think that's something which we all need to know, that this causes inflammation and irritation and damaging our skin barrier function. So it's totally necessary that there are no fragrances in hair products as well. It's very good.
Yeah, and so we do have fragrances in the rest of our line, because a lot of people don't have allergies and they like the sensorial experience, especially because you do tend to wear the scent within your hair. But we wanted to make sure that we had something for everyone. So if you do have those sensitivities, we do have a fragrance-free option.
Now we have a couple co-founders here, and I would love to talk a little bit about building teams, because, you know, Dr. Sturm, you even said you're a scientist, you're not a business person, but you own a business. So what are some tips that you can give people who are trying to kind of shore up maybe their weaknesses when it comes to business, or maybe they're creative and they don't know numbers well? What are some tips for building a team to really make your new business a success?
So I think, first of all, learning by doing. I think you can do anything, especially we women. We have, like, you know, we can keep all the balls in the air. And I think it's also fun to get into another world and doing PR and marketing and product development. And, coming as a doctor, I really found that exciting. Nevertheless, you need to have an amazing team which stands behind you, loyal and hardworking, same like you. Joel is putting his hands up. But it doesn't work otherwise. It's impossible. And I think there's like a learning curve, how you hire, who you hire. You have bad experiences, great experiences, but that's a learning curve. Building a team, I think, is the hardest part of building a business, I have to say.
I can chime in on this too, because I'm a co-founder. I started the brand with my good friend, Mariana, and we had been friends for about a decade prior to launching. And we constantly do get questions from people who say, is it a good idea to go into business with a friend? And a lot of times the answer is usually no. So I'll kind of talk a bit about how we decided to become partners. One, we had known each other for so many years, but I think really when you're looking at any sort of partner, or really anyone to bring into your company, especially at a significant level, is do you align on what I believe to be the three most important things that are core to a partnership, which are, it's trust, values, and long-term goals. And if you can align on those three things, I think you can have a really successful partnership. And usually when you hear about partnerships that don't work, one of those three things has fallen short. And so between the two of us had really extensive conversations prior to launching of the trust part. We knew because we had already known each other for a long time, but really the values that we hold within our company, that we hold ourselves to, that we expect from our team, and that we really have kind of created our team culture around, and also long-term, both short-term and long-term goals, but especially long-term goals. I think it's a bit easier to align on something in the short run, whether it's a product you're coming out with or a color you're choosing or something like that. But really, what do you want for the brand long-term? And of course that will probably change and evolve because companies change, but to really have that alignment, I think is really important. And I think all of those things are more important than some of sort of the other sort of day-to-day things. Marianne and I work differently. We work at different hours. She loves to work really early. I love to work really late. I'm a mom. I kind of have a lot of things going on. And so she's also very decisive. I love to take my time with our decisions. And so we have different, work models, but we really respect each other's way that we work. And I think that all kind of goes back to sort of those three core things in the beginning to really look at when you're deciding on a partnership.
Amazing. So we just heard that building a team is one of the hardest parts of starting a business. What are some other opinions on what's the hardest part of starting a business, and how do you overcome it? How do you get past it?
Everything is hard.
I think
Start a business. What are you talking? Finding a space, building a team, because you can't do everything on your own. Yes, you could start in the kitchen doing on your own, but then you have to be surrounded by great people. And how you find those people, how you get them, how to have the money to pay them. There are challenges all the time. Like I work with my daughter. Do you think it's easy? Of course it's not easy, but it's the best thing I ever did. I think as long as you know that you work for this company, we both work the company, our ego, our personal problems will not interfere with the business. There are challenges finding a good lawyer. There are challenges finding a good CPA. There are challenges finding the people, and then how, if that person that you hire doesn't work, how you exit the person because it's not a good fit. Business is challenging, but that's why I talked with Nancy about, we both stress about that subject, that you have to love what you do and believe in your brand, and you will be able to overcome, and you'll learn from your mistakes. I think, in my opinion, that's the best.
I also think that like sometimes this notion of challenges just has such a bad rap. Like, why do challenges have to be such a bad thing? Because you don't grow if you're not challenged. If you're not challenged, it's just status quo. And anyone who is embarking on an entrepreneurial journey expects to grow. You don't want to just stay at where you were at point A. You want to get to point B, C, D through the whole thing. So I think people need to really kind of rethink about challenges and not see it as like this bad thing, like why me, or why do I have to go through this, but just really part of the journey. And the challenge should really be, how do I build resiliency and how do I build the right mindset to be able to go after and overcome anything that comes my way?
And
I was just going to say resiliency.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead, Anastasia.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say resiliency. I think that is a muscle that you build over time, where I'm sure many of us can remember like our first like disaster moment as founders, and feeling really, really, at least I can remember feeling very freaked out about it. And now I feel like things are like breaking every day, and it's like, yeah, that's okay. We'll just move through it. It's fine. Like we'll solve it. And you do. And I think a lot of that is like learning by doing and realizing, okay, yes, like if I got through that, I can get through this, and having that confidence that whatever it is that comes your way, you're going to be able to power through.
And patience, I think, becomes such a huge part of long-term success. I think we tend to all want everything right now, and I am guilty of the same. We always tend to want this immediate gratification, but to really have the patience to see things through, to see your challenges through, to know that there will be a number of ideas in the length of your business and leading up to it that will fail and they will not work. And then there will be a number of ideas that thrive and that allow you to really have a successful business. And it's really about having the patience to see that through.
I think for a good leader, I think is very important to understand that you, every single day you show up for business. You cannot go to the office anymore, but you need to solve problems. I think this is what makes a good leader. This is what makes a leader that will be able to bring a brand from the inception to amazing growth. You need to solve every day different problems.
I always love to.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I love to that same point. I love thinking about waking up and going into work every day or at home, but really starting your job every day as though it's your first day of work. And you know that feeling when it's your very first day somewhere and you're so eager and you're so enthusiastic and you want to work so hard. And I love approaching every single day that way because it really allows you to have the most productive, successful day. And it really allows, again, for that patience and that self-forgiveness.
We're going to wrap this up. We're coming close to time, but I'd like to end with everyone sharing what they love about their jobs. So we'll start with you, Dr. Barbara Sturm. What do you love about your job?
I love everything about my job. I love that the entire time I've been being a doctor and raising my child and giving every cent I made to the business and helping patients, creating these products which are well accepted in the market now. It's just like, it's just such a reward to work your dreams. And I'm so grateful for this chance in my life to be able to just fulfill my dreams and do what I love the most. And so I love every facet of what I'm doing.
Trinity, what do you love about your job?
I love my team. And I wasn't really expecting that when I first launched the business. I wasn't really thinking ahead to who was going to be on the team or whatever. But now we're 6 people, so we're still small. But I am so grateful to everyone who's on this journey with me, and I've really fallen in love with the opportunity to have this potential to serve as a team lead to them and to help them navigate their careers. It's really wonderful.
Nancy, what do you love about your job?
Yeah, I mean, so I ultimately left my finance job because I wanted to align my career with my passions. And I think we all owe it to ourselves to do that at some point. And for me, I just love the idea of being able to have a vision, have this crazy sometimes idea in my head, and to have an incredible team and to have the resources and support from our community to be able to take it from an idea to a product that sits in someone's shower. It's so personal. And it's just such a blessing to be able to do that and have that be my career.
Anastasia, what do you love about your job?
Well, so many things about my job I love. First of all, I love that I'm able to give the opportunity of women to feel beautiful and feel powerful with my products and everything that I talk about. I love that I have a purpose. Every day I wake up and I'm so excited to work and to do something that I love. I love that I was able 20 years later to work with my daughter and give her a gift that is more precious than anything, to love what she does. She loves what she does. I love that I have an amazing team that we are all so passionate. It's infectious to be in our corporate conference room. I mean, before, not now, but and you see that every single person there is so excited. I love everything about it. I mean, I don't know what I will do if I will not work.
And Lauren, what do you love about your job?
I'm so many things too, but ultimately it's about building confidence in community. And I love that we get to have conversations every single day with our community and hear their stories and create real things out of what they're telling us. And I also just, every day I look at our jet lag mask, I look at that blue tube, and I think how incredible it is that it was an idea, once upon a time, it was an idea that we had at a coffee shop, and we continued to take, different steps. And then 2 years later, it became a real thing on a shelf that now so many different people use. And I just love the idea that ideas turn into real things. And I love talking to our community about that as well, and to other people who dream of becoming founders or who have a dream, and reminding them that all things are possible when you really have the strength to turn your idea into something real.
Thank you so much, each and every one of you, for taking time to be with us today and to give us these tips. And for those of you watching, thanks for coming to Revolve U. I hope you learned some amazing things. I sure did. And check out these brands. I work in beauty. I've been working in beauty for 10 years, and I vow that I use everything from something from each of these brands. So they make really good things, and obviously they know what they're doing because they are making it in the beauty business. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. You are amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.